Welcome back to Up and Coming. It's your host, Devin Johnson, aka special guest Nick Wolny for episode 14.
We're going to check in right now with our tech expert, Nick Wolny.
Here to discuss is tech expert Nick Wolny.
Let's check in with tech expert Nick Wolny, though. Here to discuss is tech expert Nick Wolny.
Tech expert Nick Wolny. Nick, thanks so much for joining us. Great to see you.
Thanks for having me. We have a lot of gadgets to get through today, so I'm going to go ahead and hop right in with our first splurge versus steal and have the two of you guess which one is the splurge and which one is the steal.
Nick, thank you so much for joining me today. How are you doing?
I'm fantastic. We were just having a great conversation. We almost missed the
We almost missed the time.
We were talking.
I feel so bad for you guys. Like Nick was dropping free game and gyms, and I almost kept them to myself.
It was good. It was good. We hit it off right away. We met about 12 minutes ago, and we're BFFs already.
We're already BFFs. Like, we got to follow each other on social media, like everything. I'm definitely going to follow you right after this.
Yes, likewise. I feel good.
Well, since now we're friends, I know everybody else who is going to be watching this and see this on YouTube and other platforms. Who are you? What do you do? Where you're from? They want to be your friend as well.
Yeah, absolutely. So my name is Nick, and my full name is Nick Wolny. Currently, I'm the senior editor of Financial Independence at Next Advisor, which is the personal finance arm of Time. And so it's a personal finance publication. I'm in charge of a new vertical where I cover things like side hustles, the creator economy, passive income. What we know is that perhaps a lot of people who are watching, and just a lot of people in general, are rethinking personal finance and how they make money, right? All of a sudden, it's not so much the one-track career that people have been thinking about for years and years, or that we've kind of been groomed to assume that we're just going to, work this one same job. There's a lot of people doing things like a portfolio career, or having a one or two side hustles in order to either make ends meet or pay off their student loans, or save up to buy a house one day, things like that. And so my vertical involves anything that has to do with making more money. If you want to make more money, then I cover it. And so, then you can go over to the other verticals that are things like investing, or, how to save for retirement and stuff like that. That stuff's a lot more fun when you actually have the money in the bank account, right? Like it's a lot more fun when the money's there. So my job is to oversee and publish content that's going to help you make more money, whether it's on the internet, off the internet, anything in between. And prior to this, I was self-employed for 6 years. So it's kind of fun to get back in the saddle, be on a team, but I walked the talk, right? I've had a small business for about 6 years. I've been a solopreneur. I've had wild successes. I've had abysmal, crippling failures, everything in between. And I wouldn't have it any other way. It's awesome. And I think everyone should learn the language of entrepreneurship, regardless of, whether you want to pursue a side hustle or something like that, because it's something that can, in the best of times, it can, help you pursue your financial goals and dreams. And in the worst of times, it can help you get out of a pickle, knowing how to go out there and drum up some money. So that's who I am, and that's what I cover.
So you're the person that we need to talk to today, because I know, so I'm in the South. I'm on the East Coast. I'm in Columbia, South Carolina. Gas is $4.69. I know gas is up everywhere else. Inflation is crazy. The millennials, we're waiting for the housing market to crash. It's never going to happen. All the prices are up high. We need to talk to you today how to make more money. So that's the first question. How to make more money? What's the best way to make more money? Is it online, or is it to start a physical business that you could walk into?
Well, what we like about making more money, particularly when it comes to online, is that most online pursuits have a fairly low barrier of entry. You see what's happening on social media. Most of us are pretty comfortable at this point, kind of navigating the internet, so to speak. Like, we're a generation that, for most of our adult lives, we've had internet access. We know how to kind of find information quickly. We know how to add value when appropriate. So how I like to bucket this idea when it comes to particularly making money online, there are 4 different ways you can slice it. And I think most of the side hustles, most of your different kind of online pursuits, you could probably bucket this into 1 of 4 ways. And so the first way is to offer a service of some kind. So you probably have some sort of career related skills, or perhaps you're really savvy with social media. Perhaps you like to write, or you've done a little bit of code. You could help someone with a website, something like that. You can offer an online service. And even if you don't necessarily have a skill set, you could also look into something like virtual assistant work, which is where you're just available hourly for someone to potentially retain you to help with, it could be, it's probably not going to be the sexiest type of work, but it is going to be dollars for hours, which is a great use of hours, right?
Right.
And so in terms of services, thinking about, okay, can I do something for someone else, or can I help someone get from point A to point B? So you're either doing the job for someone else, or you're doing maybe something like a coaching or a consulting kind of thing. Like I have a buddy who is an online personal trainer. And so this poor guy has to listen to me complain and make excuses for why, I just cannot.
Why you can't get in front of the camera in your gym to work out?
Yeah. And so you know what I mean? He's not working out for me.
Yeah.
But he's consulting and he's giving some guidance and things like that based on his expertise of doing it for years. He was like, well, why don't you try this? Oh, okay. You're tired in the afternoons and that's why you slack off at the gym. Okay, then maybe you should try this instead, things like that. And so it doesn't always have to be you doing everything. It could also, like, if you have years of experience doing something in your professional life or in your personal life, right? Like we were just talking before, you've got experience with how to set up a video kit. You can show someone else how to do that, and they'll pay to have that shortcut of be told the right steps in the right order, right? So that's number one to think about. So that's offering a service. I love offering a service, but maybe that's because my background is primarily services. I'm doing consulting and having clients. Yeah. People really underestimate that your passion and the thing that you've spent hours, maybe, dozens or hundreds of hours really nerding out about it, that can be of value to other people who potentially want to do the same thing. And for you, it's just, there's a guy named Ben Kasnoka who describes it as, what do you do on a Saturday afternoon for fun? Right? Yeah. It's just you're going to look up microphones for 2 hours and like YouTube comparison reviews. You know what I mean? That's information. And like someone like me is like, well, I don't have time to go look up all that information. I'd rather just pay for someone to say, okay, you want to get started? You should get this camera and this microphone and this laptop, and then make sure that make sure the lights are on, when you're stuff like that. And so I think that's something that can kind of make it less intimidating is, you probably have skills and passions already that you could turn into a way to make additional money.
So service is number one.
Services is number one. Yep. So number two, we see a lot of this coming up, especially in the last few years. Number two is becoming a creator of some kind, right? There's all this very sexy creator energy. You see influencers on social media. I feel like influencers are dying a little bit, which I'm really excited about.
I'm excited about that though.
Yeah. Maybe I think it was the pandemic and they couldn't travel and take the beach selfies quite as much. And I don't know, but it's just there was a reset. Yeah.
I'm excited about that. Thank you for saying that out loud.
Yeah. So if someone really likes to create content online, that could be videos, that could be blogs, that could be, look at podcasting, that could be audio, something like that. If you really like to create content, and if you start to build an audience around a certain topic, something like that, then there are opportunities to monetize that audience in a couple of different ways. We see this with things like Patreon. You've got, your favorite YouTuber and they're like, hey, get my behind the scenes videos, pay, it's $1 a month or, $5 a month. It's really inexpensive. You've also got stuff, like OnlyFans or, other platforms like this, right? That's technically a creator model. People don't realize this. OnlyFans is one of the most profitable companies.
Oh, I know.
Valley, right? Because they don't have to pay anything for the content, right? And so, so looking at platforms like that, you can either have your fans or your followers or your subscribers, you can either have them pay you, in exchange for like exclusive content or things like that. Substack is another great example. That's newsletters. You could also do something like a paid partnership. We were talking about that just a little bit before we went live. So something like a brand deal or a sponsorship. If you have an audience of people who are really excited about a certain topic or whatever you like to talk about, things like that. If there's a company that's trying to get in front of those people, why wouldn't they try to partner with you in some way? Like you've done the hard part. Right? Because bringing people together, that's the hardest part for a company or for a business. And so what I want to spread the word about is that you don't have to be a big influencer in order to potentially go after a partnership like that. If you've got an audience of 500 or 1,000 or 5,000 people, which for most of us is not like influencer level numbers,
right?
That's enough in some cases for a brand or a company to potentially be interested in paying to get in front of your people in some way.
Can you, before you get to 3 and 4, can you stay at number 2 real quick? Because I feel like a lot of people are they want to create, but they don't automatically, they want to be an influencer. And you get on Facebook, you get on Instagram, you get on Twitter. Hey, use my code Devin15 and get 15% off. And like, you don't have to. Like, I feel like everybody feels like you have to do that. But then like, I feel like if like you said, if you just create videos, you're more likely to make money that way. I've seen I've had more companies reach out to me because I'm creating videos and I'm taking the time out and doing that rather than getting in front of the camera and like, if you want 15% off your water, hit Devin. Like, is being an influencer or being a creator? Which one would you choose? What's the better one for somebody who's wanting to start out to make a side hustle?
Yeah, I think that, in terms of how you're going to monetize it, that'll ultimately be up to you. There is also there's a third category that I didn't touch on too much within creators, and that's things like advertisement kickbacks. So like if you have a YouTube channel and someone's running ads on their channel, they're getting paid every time the ads are running, because they've done the job of attracting people to watch the video, right? So you have some people who they don't want to sell directly. They're just making really awesome. Oh, can we swear? Can we swear on this?
We can swear. Okay. Oh, this is a
really
safe space.
This is videos, right? Yeah. Okay, good. Like these just really awesome kick-ass videos, and they're getting a cut of the ads, basically the commercials they're playing on their channels, and that's how they make a living, right? So like you can do that. Good. Oh, good. We got the green light from. We got
the green light from the boss. We're good. We're good. I've already sweared a couple episodes, so we're good.
We can just bleep it out later if we need.
We can bleep it out, but I don't leave. I don't even bleep it out. I just
yeah.
It in there.
But even before that, so there's an ingredient that whichever one of those strategies, you're going to have this ingredient in the picture, and it's not to have a lot of followers. It's to have engagement. So you need to have evidence that people are excited about what you're talking about. They are interacting with you. The person who's jumping up and down about their affiliate code on Twitter, they're probably not getting many clicks or anything like that. And then you have some other person who is commenting back in all the threads, interacting with other people, hanging out in the comments, really getting a bunch of conversations going. That's just going to build like a level of trustworthiness to where, once they've been doing that for a while, if they're like, by the way, this is my favorite phone case. If you want to get it for yourself, then you could go over to this Amazon link and get it. That's usually much more effective. And it's because that engagement piece is in place. And particularly as people have gotten into things like, some kind of like black hat strategies, so to speak, things like buying followers or creating bot followers, things like that. Just because someone has 50,000 followers doesn't mean
they're getting 50,000 viewers. Anymore, drives me insane. You'll see people on Twitter trying to get the following count up, and like, dude, it doesn't even worry about the following count. If you have 50,000 followers and you have 20 people watching you, 10 people watching you, what are you doing? The count doesn't even matter.
Right. Exactly. And so I think there's that piece. And then I always tell people who are curious about creatorship or influencership is to learn to love creating content. Because the problem with that person that hasn't tweeted very much and then they're just trying to tweet their link, I would assert they don't actually love tweeting that much, right? Or they
Spamming the
don't love
links.
being on the platform. They're just trying to like hurry up and make the money.
Yeah.
And, you know, so I think that is another ingredient. That's what you need internally in order to be successful with that approach to making money online, is just if you love creating content, because you're probably going to need to pump it out at a pretty regular cadence in order for it to really start to develop that momentum. It is rare to have someone produce 1 or 2 pieces of content and have that be enough. You know, and when you're creating regularly, you get better. You get sharper, you get cleaner, you know, you just get more, you know, more efficient, you get better ideas, you start to learn what people really want to hear about, and you do more of that, and that's exciting. So I think, you know, love the game, I guess, is what I would say.
So you're not knocking both, but I guess you're saying like you would, not putting any words in your mouth, but the engaging with the audience part is more, creating and engaging with the audience is more beneficial. And then once you have that audience, oh, by the way, if you want to, I really like this phone case, hit Dev.15 and get 15% off. So
Yep.
I like that.
Yeah. And I think playing for that, if you're going to play the numbers game, play for engagement more than followers. If you've got 100 followers, but you got 100 comments on every post,
you're doing well.
Then a company's going to be really interested.
You're kicking ass.
Yeah.
You're kicking ass.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Number three.
So if you've got, you know, this is kind of an offshoot of the first one, right? We were talking about expertise. We were talking about passion. So number 3 for, you know, if you want to make money online is to create what's called intellectual property or IP. We often hear IP being, you know, kind of a legal term. It technically is a legal term. If someone's going to create something like an ebook or a physical book or an online course or something like that, then what's happening there is you're taking your knowledge, you're taking your expertise or your passion, and you're packaging it up into something that people can consume on demand, right? Someone takes their 10 years of experience and they write a book. And they, you know, they've done that once, and then that book sells again and again and again. So the pro of creating intellectual property is that you make it once, and then it makes you money again and again, right? So we love that piece, right? If you like to just work once but get paid multiple times, then this could be a very good option for you. You know, also there's opportunities with things like licensing and stuff like that. Like maybe you have a lot of experience with something that would be helpful for a business, right? And they need to put together a curriculum. Well, they don't want to take a year figuring it out. You've already got the curriculum, so they're just going to pay you to license that, right? So that's the pro to packaging up your expertise into some sort of product or to some sort of property. The con is that you got to do all the work up front, right? And so so you take a little bit of a risk there. It's like if you're going to sell an online course, that there needs to be a course there when someone gives you the money. Right?
So I'm glad because there's a lot of master courses that's been popping up that I've seen so far. Like, how do people feel like okay?
Yeah, so let's even like masterclass. I get so many ads. Does anyone else get so many ads from masterclass? Okay,
please put it in the comments if you do, because I do, and they're all streaming and podcast masterclasses. I'm like, I've just been doing it and watching YouTube and getting better.
Yep. So that's a really good example of like, you've got someone who's a celebrity. They probably came in. What did they come in for? A day or two to film that, and then masterclass is just running it again. You know what I mean? Like they're selling it for months and months and months after that day of filming and production and things like that. And the celebrity's probably going to get a cut, or they got, you know, a really big advance up front, or both. And so this category, you know, is for if you've got some sort of system or some sort of process. Let's take your video setup example again. So I'm gonna like push you to. You're gonna have like 10 new making money ideas before
I'm writing these down. I've got all day, man. I'm trying to make some more money.
Yeah. So why not put together like a step-by-step, like, here's what you need to think about if you're going to set up the video kit in a room of your apartment, right? Like here's what direction you should be facing. Here is how to do a 2-person interview. Here is how to adjust your audio levels. Like if your sound doesn't sound great, here's how you change it. Just like things like that. I always like to tell people like to pay to receive the right steps in the right order, right? It's just there's just so much information on the internet these days. You're like,
Right.
okay, I'm going to look up how to make a video on YouTube. And so you start to look around, and there's what, probably thousands and thousands and thousands of different videos,
Thousands.
all with
Definitely.
different
Yeah.
approaches, right? Yeah. And so it's like, oh gosh, so it's almost like there's too much content
Mhm.
now, where it's like, ugh, I don't want to try to piecemeal all of this. I'd rather just pay a little bit of money and get the right steps in the right order.
Mhm.
And so I think that's just something to kind of keep in mind, something to think about there. Yeah.
I like that. I've been thinking about that. I'm like I see a lot of like people that do reviews on microphones and cameras and interfaces and stuff like that. Then I also see people that's doing setting how to set it up and whatnot. And I'm like, am I that type of person? I know I'm an entertaining person, but now that you're saying that, there's people that you're getting paid just to show people how to do a class or just put it together. Nick,
Yeah.
you're
Yeah.
a
And I think
financial
it also,
guru.
it really goes back to, things that you're passionate about. You may not think people want to learn about, but it's just,
Mhm.
there are people with the wildest online businesses out there and online side hustles. Like, I guarantee, I'm just making this up off the top of my head, but I guarantee there is someone out there who's like a Dungeons and Dragons coach, or something like that. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
there's every tiny little niche has some sort of thing to it. Right. And so
Mhm.
I think that it's, the advantage of something like a course or some other form of intellectual property is that if you're strapped for time, so particularly like if you have a day job, or if you have something like that, then
Mhm.
you may not have time to take clients per se. Right. Or, you've got a couple of clients, or you've worked with a couple of people, but you can't work with 20 people at once. Right.
Mhm.
That would be a reason to consider putting your winning formula, so to speak, into a course format. Because then, when someone asks, they're like, oh gosh, how do you make your videos look so good? And you could be like, I've got this light and I've got this video. I've also got this course. Like, if you want the full system, you could go over here and you could buy it right now. And then, they may or may not pay you, but if they do, then you have not lifted a finger. But again, the caveat is that to be in that position, you have to set it all up
Mhm.
beforehand. So generally, in this sort of making money online space, you'd want to figure out a way to test that system or that framework, that sequence of steps first. Like, you might want to get a client or two first and help them
Okay.
get set up. You can even do that for free, just to
Yeah.
see like what questions they have that come up, and just to confirm that your sequence of steps that it works. So
Yeah,
people
yeah,
are going
it
to be
works.
paying for it. Yeah. Well, like, once that's confirmed, then just taking the time to kind of put that together, that can be a resource or an asset, that kind of, especially for those who are interested in passive income or things like that, that can be something to explore as well. Yeah.
I I love it. Which brings you to your last one, number 4.
Yeah. Yeah. So number 4, with making money online, we see tons of this, and that is creating a physical product. Right. And so
Mhm.
e-commerce, especially in the pandemic, there was just such a surge of online shopping. You
Mhm.
also see this evolution where, there's a lot more products on Instagram ads and things
Mhm.
like that. I don't know about anyone else, but Instagram is very dangerous, for me, for a shopping perspective. It just more and more, I just feel like it knows my credit card. I'm just like, gosh, three
It
taps.
knows mine.
Yeah, and I bought another freaking flannel shirt. Are you kidding me? And so it's like, so thinking through, there's opportunities to create a physical product, where you create one product and that's your whole business,
Mhm.
right? You just specialize in one product. There are platforms like Shopify and WooCommerce. You probably bought stuff off of platforms like this before, where it's just a company that's got, a few different products. It's a certain brand. This approach, it requires a little bit more upfront investment, right? Because you're going to have to make a product. You're probably going to have to take some nice photos of your products so that
Mhm.
people actually want to buy them. And you have to figure out, like, okay, if someone does buy, how am I going to ship this to them? But if you are really passionate about physical products, perhaps there's a product that you wish existed.
Mhm.
Maybe there's a certain gimbal for a camera or a microphone that you're just like, man, for my kind of desk, I really need a microphone stand that can do this.
Yeah, yeah,
Right.
yeah,
So,
yeah.
there are people that encounter that situation where they're just like, you know what, I'm just going to make it. I'm just going to manufacture it. I'm going to get a prototype made. I'm going to figure it out. So it's a different category. It's a little bit more effort, but I would be remiss if I didn't speak to just that e-commerce piece, because it's just getting so much energy and so much momentum. And if you are really passionate about making things, physical things, or you're passionate about some sort of solution, then I think that it's something to keep in mind. Even, we think of shows like Shark Tank and stuff like that. It's very commerce driven, very e-commerce driven. And a lot of those stories, when they do their pitches on that show, they're really talking about the why. They're talking about, okay, why did we make this product? Why did we make this, this solution to try to get that investment? So
I want to transition over to stocks, NFTs. You hear stocks, NFTs a lot. And one of your videos you were talking about, and I'm gonna share it right now. One of your videos you were talking about, do not using TikTok, as in, I got some questions. I want to play this so everybody can see this, but I do want to hear about the stocks, because I mean, I got a friend right now. He's trying to get me in the stock, and I'm like, dude, I don't have any passion for stock. I don't have any passion for crypto. I don't have passion for NFTs.
I think no one's passionate about crypto right now. Ricardo's in the chat.
Yeah,
Ricardo, you and me are on the same page right now, buddy.
But I keep seeing it on my TikTok, and I'm like, okay, is it trying to grab me? But then I watched your video and you were like, don't do it. So thank you. Yeah. So I'm going to play the video.
From the Fox 26 studios, this is Houston's Morning Show.
Last month's bizarre trading frenzy has prospective investors flocking to their favorite social media platforms to learn more about personal finance, market trends, and wealth generation. But according to a new report, some of the information on these platforms could be doing more harm than good. Here to discuss is tech expert Nick Wolny. Good morning, Nick. Good to see you.
Good to see you. Thanks for having me.
Okay, now TikTok, seeing a lot of content about personal finance in recent weeks, so much so that it has been nicknamed Stock Talk. Why is that?
That's right. A lot of people are turning to TikTok to get personal finance advice for the first time. But a new report commissioned by cryptocurrency company Paxful found that 1 in 7 videos produced by personal finance influencers on TikTok, which is called Stock Talk in that area of TikTok, is actually inaccurate or can be considered misinformation. Videos that are guaranteeing a profit on a stock, videos that are suggesting you put your entire savings into a certain investment. So the concern is that a lot of young people who are getting excited and interested in personal finance and investing for the first time are learning about it through these social media posts that could actually be inaccurate or misleading.
Now, those inaccurate posts, would they be from influencers individually, or for, let's say, an influencer who is working for a company that's trying to get folks to see their site?
This is mainly influencers who are just trying to build their own following. The challenge is that TikTok is really wired for virality. You can just scroll from one video to the next, and if you see a video you're particularly entertained by, you can see what hashtags are on that video, you jump on that hashtag, and then all of a sudden you've gone down the rabbit hole without even realizing it. TikTok's very fast at this. And so people are beginning to go down these investing in personal finance rabbit holes. Some of the information is good, but we're now finding that some of the information is just absolutely inaccurate. So that's of concern.
Touch on to that, because like you said, like you virtually said, that there's a lot of young people that are interested in getting to stocks, and because they want to make money, but they're turning over to social media and it's not working out too well. So kind of touch on that and see, is it a good idea to invest in stock, but why not so much into doing it off of social media accounts?
Yeah. The phenomenon really began to pick up a lot last year, the beginning of last year. I think that's when that interview was, with this hashtag called Stock Talk. And so it began to really pick up on TikTok. It was right when GameStop was also surging for
Oh yeah,
it was right around that time. It was like with Reddit threads and things like that, where in these Reddit threads, these groups would come together and say like, okay, let's all work together, and we're gonna push this stock. We're actually going to influence the market and push this stock up. And you had some incidents where it was actually happening. You also had some incidents in the cryptocurrency market where that was also happening. You'd have a series of influential enough enthusiasts, let's say that, and they would go in on a particular altcoin and they would rocket up the price of that altcoin, and they would walk away with a hefty payday as a result. But that's not how most of personal finance works. And also, what is tricky about these platforms, with TikTok, something like that, TikTok is just really starting to dominate. You can even see it in how the other social media platforms are reacting. I think it's a very telltale sign, just speaking from a marketing consulting background, it's a telltale sign when other platforms move into copycat mode. And my sense is everyone's trying to copy TikTok right now. That just tells you how far ahead they are. It's just easy to go down the rabbit hole. It's easy to discover new, just be shown different videos that you would have never seen otherwise. It's very similar to Twitter in that way. You're going to be shown stuff from strangers most of the time, and that's kind of part of the appeal. It's entertaining. But the flip side of that, from a personal finance perspective, is that sometimes 15 or 30 or 60 seconds is not really enough time to explain something like a Roth IRA or or some sort of other, even like investing and saving strategy. And so as young people are starting to, get excited about that, particularly just with the excitement about crypto and the excitement about some of these different penny stocks and things like that. It's kind of similar to the dot-com boom in a way, in that there's a lot of this unfounded interest and valuation in these different publicly traded companies, these different altcoins, things like that. And so these young people are kind of getting swept up in that, like, ooh, this is a way for me to make money very quickly. And so the valuations are really sky high, where, Ricardo said the same thing. He's like, I made good money during that time. And so it's also the flip side of just when we have all that valuation that is just really inflated and not necessarily pegged to actual value, then it sort of creates a situation like what we're going through right now during the time of this interview, when the crypto market has lost about $1 trillion in valuation last week alone. It was not cute.
So okay, so you say that, and Ricardo said like during that time he made some good money, but you're all about side hustles. Should somebody be thinking about doing crypto or NFTs and stocks to make money? Is that like a good idea to do that? Or
I think that when it comes to that, so Mark Cuban, who is one of the judges on Shark Tank. He's a billionaire. He owns the Dallas Mavs.
Yes.
He became a billionaire during the dot-com boom, actually, because he sold right before.
And he's trying to change the pharmacy game.
Right? Yep. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. He's a serial entrepreneur. He talks about a concept that I really like. It's called the knowledge advantage. And he says, when you get ready to either invest in something or pursue some sort of opportunity, choose the opportunity where you have a knowledge advantage in some way. Like his background, I can't recall his exact
I think it was like
business journey, but
something.
he had a media company. He had a sports media company. I think that was his big one that sold. He had like a sports radio show or something like that. That was definitely one of his acquisitions, right? And it's because he knew about, he loved sports and he was interested in media. And so he kind of took, again, going back to this, what are you already passionate about? What are you already knowledgeable about? And pursuing that opportunity, because you're going to have what's called a knowledge advantage. You're going to have a leg up on the competition because you just know that industry, or you're just really passionate about it. And so that's the tricky thing on the personal finance side. If you're going to invest in something like let's say a cryptocurrency or a certain stock, or let's say like a real estate opportunity, right? If you're going to invest in something, you're going to put your money and your time and your energy into that, then, you want to have a knowledge advantage when possible. And if you're just generally investing in like, oh, well, this stock's going up, I'm going to invest in that, right? And, and not working with a professional, or just kind of going off of your own knowledge or expertise, and maybe, you don't know a lot about that industry, then that it might be a better move to put your time and your energy into something where you have a knowledge advantage, right? And then from a personal finance perspective and just from an investing perspective in general, you don't want to throw a ton of your money into things that are really, really speculative. You want to have a good balance, especially as you start to get older, as you start to get up to where I'm at. It's just like, okay, I've had enough rides on the roller coaster ride. It's time to invest in index funds and be boring and get 7%, return after year, things like that. But the concern, going back to the stock talk point, is the concern is that just that financial literacy, that young people are going to miss that. Right. And that their perception is going to only be that a stock should return 1,000% in 6 months in order, for it to be good, things like that. And so just kind of helping spread the word on, this financial literacy piece, right? It goes back to, again, my vertical is helping you make more money, but then we also want to hold on to that money. And when you learn those basic skills of entrepreneurship, just learning that process of, what does someone need to think and feel for themselves in order to give you some money, in order to buy something from you, right? Like when you master that, then that is going to be really, really reliable for months and years to come in a way that just, it doesn't even have to be stock or cryptocurrency oriented. It could just be even, saving your time, saving all your energies, to focusing more on the things that you're already fairly knowledgeable about or that you're really passionate about.
We're hearing a lot about not only a lot about NFTs now, but we're also hearing about metaverse, Web 3.0. You wrote an article back in February why we need to hire LGBTQ people to help build the metaverse. Like, tell me why did you, in the article you were talking about how we didn't want to go back to like the dilemma of Web 2.0 and how that queer people were already using the metaverse to find folks that were already like them, like. And then when even like people back in the day, they were like in the 50s or 60s, they were looking at like magazines and newspaper articles to mingle with each other. So people have already been using that. You even said Fortnite. They've been using Fortnite to feel like one. Why is that so important to hire more people, more LGBTQ people into the metaverse?
Yeah, well, I think it's, I'm passionate about covering the LGBTQ economy, even just from that perspective, being an LGBTQ person. And I think, other people from marginalized communities and also just people who fall on hard times. Entrepreneurship it's a tool that can help you take back control of your future. Just when things are, not going your way, or you've got certain things that are outside your control. What we know about LGBTQ people historically is that they will make it happen in order to connect, in order to find community. And I actually think that's true for a lot of us. So in that article for Fast Company, I was lucky to interview a historian who, just talked a lot about 20th century LGBTQ history. And he was talking about in the 1950s, you had these different activist groups and things like that. But then you also had these gay men who began publishing these let's just call them like kind of risque magazines, right? It's just not pornographic per se, but just kind of just something to appeal differently. It was called Physique Pictorial, and it was a lot of illustrations, and it had a classified section in it. And so so people began to subscribe to that, covertly subscribe to it. They had to find ways to get access to the magazine without being seen while purchasing it, or having it not be seen in the mail, things like that. And what began to really take off, one, it was just like they couldn't even keep them in stock, even though there was all of this quite like who's supposedly buying all of these, right? But then in this classified section is just like the saddest, sweetest notes to be just like, I'm lonely and I would love a pen pal. Here's my address. There's one particular example from the historian's book where they would just give their physical address. Can you believe this? This was the 1950s.
No, I believe it. That's why I'm interested.
And so it's, yeah, and I think that's true, even a lot of different groups just throughout history, this desire for community and connection and
Mhm,
engagement. It even goes back to what we were talking about earlier, right? And
mhm.
so now we've got all this buzz about the metaverse. Mark Zuckerberg has stood up and kind of planted this flag and been like, I declare that the metaverse is happening now and
Mhm.
that, we're
Yeah.
going to be the ones that are going to create it. And it's very, very expensive. And what different marginalized groups are saying is, hey, buddy, like we've already been in the metaverse for several years, right? There's
Mhm,
been, like for LGBTQ support groups, for example,
mhm.
there have been VR chat rooms for several years already. For a lot of us, we're just, I don't know about you, like I've played a VR headset as a game a couple of times. I don't spend like all day on a headset or something like that.
Yeah.
But for other people who are in, perhaps a part of the world where they cannot be themselves, it's illegal to be themselves. It's
Mhm,
illegal to be gay in 69 countries, right? And so just being able to actually connect with other people like them, that is worth any and all of their time on the internet, right? And so when it comes to starting to kind of build this out, these future technologies, Web 3.0, all of this really, really exciting stuff, if it's going to be about spaces, if it's going to be about gatherings and communities, which it sounds like it is, then we need to be paying attention to the people who have already been doing that for years.
mhm.
I'm not a huge Mark Zuckerberg fan personally anyway, but it's just, for him to say like, this is how it's going to be. And it's like, well, why don't we listen to the people who have been doing this for 10 years,
Mhm.
and like, what do they want in a virtual space, right? If it was going to be virtual for a lot of the day or for all day long, things like that. What do they want? What do they want? Not
Mhm.
want? And then I think another factor that's important for us to keep in mind when it comes to, you need to have marginalized groups of people in the engineering room when
Mhm.
these new technologies get designed, right? A classic example is that AI has a racism problem. They keep making AI and the AI keeps being racist, right? And
Yeah.
it's like, okay, well, how did we get here? And who was in the room and who was not in the room when they were engineering this process and they were kind of determining that. And so
Mhm,
it's just something that kind of, as we get ready to potentially build this incredible thing.
mhm.
I think in that article I spoke to, it was last year or a couple of years ago that documentary, The Social Dilemma, came out. And that documentary was just a bunch of early engineers at places like Facebook and Twitter being like, oops, we made it too addictive. Our bad.
Yeah.
We've kind of destroyed the planet by making it, too really, really combative and addictive, and
Mhm,
like actually hijacking people's behavior in a way. Like social media is designed to hijack your behavior. It's crazy.
mhm.
And so if we're getting ready to do this next like big hunk of technology, which between blockchain and crypto and Web 3.0 and all this stuff, it appears that we're kind of getting ready to like ratchet up into a new form of technology. Then let's make sure that we've got some people in the picture in the engineering room, or as we're designing these technologies,
Mhm.
who are going to be thinking about people from different walks of life,
Right.
and also just thinking about how can we ensure that we don't create something like hyper addictive again, or that it's not so driven by capitalism and behavioral hijacking. I don't know why,
Or
but I
hate
just
or hate.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, exactly. I just start to think about the scene in the Matrix where it's
Yeah.
like they're just like farming all of the humans that are, you know what I mean? They're just like hooked up. And I'm like, we're just gonna voluntarily be there in like 20 years or something. Because people are gonna never leave their couch because they're just gonna be in the metaverse all day. Right.
Right.
I never left my couch during the pandemic. I was already halfway
I
there.
was man, I was chilling until they told me to come to the news station, and I'm like, "Okay."
Yeah. And so thinking through that piece as well, I think that's another piece of the puzzle in terms of just this online conversation as well. The online entrepreneurship conversation too,
Mhm,
is that just being careful not to slide too far down the rabbit hole, or both the social media platforms and aspiring entrepreneurs are going to use persuasion tactics, behavioral hijacking tactics
mhm,
to try to get you to take an action, or to, for most social media platforms, it's to stay on the platform as long as possible, things like that. And so just being mindful along the way and ensuring that you're doing something that you're really excited about, that you are excited about, and not just necessarily something that someone is telling you need to do right now. I think that's a really big piece of the puzzle.
I really like that example. For me, is like you speak on about LGBTQ community. Like that's your passion. My passion is talking about um having more people look like you in a setting that's never really that's been seen. For instance, like I'm big into esports. Like I don't want to be a professional esports player. I can't do that. I just can't
Yeah.
do it. But I like being in front of the camera. I like being in front of the microphone. I like reporting. I like being a journalist. I like being a content creator. And there's not a lot of black folks that are esports casters or esports professionals. There's like 2 million. I did the ad read when I was working with one HBCU company,
Yep.
community. Melanie knows, but there's like 2 million jobs, but there's like only 2% of African Americans that have those esports jobs. And so, like, you're saying, like, that when the metaverse comes, you need to have folks that were already pretty much made the metaverse, that was already
Right.
using the metaverse to connect.
Well, I think also it's going to be like, it helps to safeguard against, what are some of the experiences that a Black or BIPOC esports newscaster just experiences that a white person does not, right? Like just name it, right? And and just kind of be clear. And I think that it brings up a really good point. And also, if we're going to be building these technologies that are going to be designed for people to really, even thinking about things like ableism and ensuring that people of all different abilities are able to take maximum advantage of it, things like that. Just having those conversations as early as possible. And I think, it's June, it's Pride Month. And I think it's
Which,
more
by the
than
way,
ever.
Augusta has the best pride
Yeah.
parade in the United
Oh,
States.
prides are back with a vengeance this year.
I
I live
know.
in Los Angeles, and so 2 weeks ago we went to West Hollywood Pride, and just
Uh-huh.
we showed up and it was 12:30, and someone was already throwing up on the sidewalk. Like the parades are going. People are going
I
because they got 2
remember
years off. They're going.
I've been to the Columbia one because I live in downtown Columbia and I just walk around to see what I do. I see what's going on. And then I remember 2 years ago before the pandemic happened, Stacey Abrams came. She was running for governor, and it was
Yep.
like, whew, that was the
Yep.
one that she came to Augusta. It was so yeah, they're like they're back for a vengeance.
Yeah, I think another tricky thing too about that social media contributes to is
Mhm.
that you get a group of people, and there's like kind of just like a blanket assumption about that group of people, right?
Mhm.
Like there's so many different experiences within the LGBTQ community. It's not lost on me that as a white cisgender gay man, like I'm the second most privileged group of people. I'm the second most privileged group of people. Absolutely. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
My experience in the LGBTQ community is completely different
Mhm.
from a Black or brown trans woman,
Mhm.
or someone, a drag performer who's just doing their drag story time gig at the library, and now
Mhm.
there's like a protest out, you know what I mean? Or worse, right? Is
Mhm.
that this month is getting worse and worse. And so even looking
Worse
at,
meaning by like people are like you said in the article, people are upset about all the promotion that's being shoved in front of their faces.
yeah, well, I think especially right now, there's a lot of villainization of trans people, and
Oh
the
yeah. Yep.
TGNB community, transgender, non-binary community.
Mhm.
And in terms of just, it's become like a political linchpin that is starting to contribute to, some scary stuff, on like the white nationalism side and things like that. And, in terms of that, so what I'm experiencing as a white male is very different from what they're experiencing. And
Mhm.
this is really about, ensuring that the whole community is taken care of. And I would assert that that's probably true within certain BIPOC
Mhm.
communities as well. Certain communities of different levels of ability as well, right? It's the tricky thing about social media is that we make quick assumptions. It's so quick that we don't do a lot of critical thinking. There's a statistic that for 41%, 42%, something like that, of headlines that are commented on are not actually clicked on. Or let me rephrase. 41% of the comments are from people who did not even click through the headline. That's what it is. I want to make sure I get that data right. Right.
I know what you meant. 40%. So what you're saying is 41% of the people who commented on the article didn't read the article. They just read the headline.
Right. So just the headline and the image. And you even see that day to day, right? Like a Facebook post or a Twitter post or Twitter share, stuff like that. Yeah.
I do that as a journalist, but I don't do that as in like, I didn't read the article. I do that to see, I read the headline. I immediately go to the comments because I want to read the dumb comments that people read or already wrote. I'm like, you didn't read the article. And I know that.
And so it's tricky because we're kind of conditioned to not read it because reading is going to take 30 seconds and that's an eternity on social media. Right. And so it's a challenge, right? It's a challenge just to, I did like Andrew Yang's slogan in his presidential campaign, "Make America Think Harder." It's just kind of encouraging, like what are the things that we'll need to do in order for people to be more media literate, for people to, like social media is so fun. Don't get me wrong, but it's also, it's like candy. Too much of it's going to make you sick. So I think you got to think about that as well.
Ricardo said he had to drop TikTok a couple of times.
Yeah. Yeah. Unless you're going to make money on it.
Unless you're going to make money.
Off to the races, baby.
You stay here. So I'm trying to make money off of TikTok. I'm definitely trying to make so I can't delete TikTok.
Yeah. Yeah. And so I think it's interesting, it's also cool to see, like for me anyway, being 35, TikTok is that first technology where, just remembering when I was 21 and my parents were like, "What's Facebook?" And now, now being that space where I'm like, "Oh, I'll never be able to get what's going to happen." I don't know if I'll ever get a grip on this, or even like Fortnite and Roblox, and there's just all these other platforms that are kind of emerging all the time. Discord, just lots of cool new platforms. I wrote a Twitch article last month, and that just made me feel old. Oh my gosh, let's interviewing the sources of these like Twitch influencers.
Can we stay right there? Because I know the time is, we're at we're just chatting, the time is just flying. So let me pull this, let me pull up this. I got this email today. I got this email from Twitch because I'm a Twitch affiliate. I make money off of Twitch.
Oh, I didn't realize that.
Yeah,
I know what that is now, because some 19-year-old who makes like 50 grand a month told me.
Yeah. Okay. So, but apparently, so YouTube doesn't make, YouTube gives you more money than Twitch does. But now Twitch is like, people on Twitch have been like complaining about how they're taking a lot more money away from the creators. So now they're like, we're going to start giving you 55% now, but you have to roll like 3 minutes or more per hour of ads.
Yep.
Like, I don't know how a lot of the community, we're kind of like, since you wrote an article about that, what are some of the things that you heard about making money off of Twitch? Or should they go somewhere else and make money?
And really a lot of our initial coverage at Next Advisor, because my vertical's new. And so in terms of that initial groundwork that we're laying, it's a lot of just like the nuts and bolts of all of these different platforms so that you can start to make a decision there, right? So like YouTube versus Twitch and things like that. Twitch is, for those who don't know, like it's a live streaming platform. That's where people are going to be, streaming extensively. It was very popular as a gaming platform, but it started to expand out from that. And the tricky thing about Twitch, I don't know if it's about the affiliate side, but it is definitely on the partner side, is that they have an exclusivity agreement. If you, if you step up and you do Twitch partner, which is something that you have to, it's like hazing how they ended up doing it. Like they won't tell you that they're going to give it to you when you apply. And then they just like show up on your live stream and like bomb you and tell you to check your email. And that's how you become a Twitch partner. Anyway,
Okay.
that there's an exclusivity agreement with that. So, so you got more monetization opportunities, but they're like, you can't live stream them anywhere else. And if we catch you live streaming somewhere else, we're going to boot you. Right. And so that's another piece to take into consideration on that. But yeah, so I think it depends on what people are particularly looking for. Twitch is its own little world. I think that exclusivity also contributes to Twitch having like kind of an underground quality to it. But it's particularly in the pandemic when people literally couldn't go anywhere for a period of time. A lot of people were unemployed. They were light on dollars and heavy on time, really heavy on time.
Yeah.
So, right.
Yeah.
So it's just like, okay, well, I'm going to connect with people. So yeah. Oh yeah. Melanie says it depends on each partner's contract. Yeah. And so for the ones I interviewed this guy who's a sculptor, and
Okay.
so he double dips on his sculpting. He'll have sculpting commissions, and he will just sculpt. He has a camera attached. He has like a phone camera attached, almost like a headgear to his body. And he's just sculpting and talking while he does it. And he does it for like 5 or 6 hours a day.
That's dope.
And yep. And so he sells the art pieces when he's done, obviously, because he's a sculptor, but then he's just the actual sculpting process. He just live streams it while he's doing it. And that's how he pays his rent, and that's how he pays all his bills every month. Is with that. So it's not just gaming, but gaming definitely made it very popular. But it also comes down to, on Twitch, you're probably going to be live streaming for hours on end, and not everyone has time like that or wants to have time like that. If you want something that's more compartmentalized, or maybe you want to get straight to the point, you want to add value, then maybe something like YouTube is going to make more sense, and so it just kind of varies, kind of figuring out where your people are at, I think is also a really big factor for what you talk about. Where are those people hanging out? It's stuff like you've got Clubhouse, you've got Substack, you've got Twitter, you've got all these different platforms that all have slightly different audiences, and it's almost like slightly different like parties.
Before you got kicked because Twitch didn't want you to drop any more gems, I was gonna ask you, the last thing is like, where can people find you at? Like, how can we get in contact with you?
Yeah. So my socials are Nick Wolny. I know I can see on the live stream I'm a little choppy, but hopefully y'all can hear me okay. It's just Nick Wolny. I'm on Instagram. I'm not on Twitch. I'm just on Twitch to hang out. I'm not creating anything cooler. I'm not sculpting any gargoyles on Twitch. Sorry. But I mainly do a newsletter. It's so nickwolny.com is my website. You can sign up for my newsletter over there. I do a newsletter once a week. Otherwise, reach out. I would love to connect. I'd love to hear more about what anyone who's watched this recording is up to. And I'm available for any questions that you have anytime.
Sounds good. And I'll definitely, I'm going to be uploading this video in the next, I want to say either tomorrow or Friday, more likely Friday. I think that's when I get the MP3. That's when I get the MP4 and I edit it, make it look super cool, like a TV show, put it on YouTube, put all the fancy stuff on there and the music and whatnot. So that'll definitely be out there. I do want to shout out Retro Motion. I thank you for putting this awesome guest in front of us. I'm going to make some money when we get off of here. I'm
good.
I'm gonna make so much money. You don't know how much free game you just put out. Like, your microphone is literally on fire. That's what it was. Your camera caught on fire.
Dude, the lights went out for like 5 seconds. Like, it's literally brown out. Like, Twitch swatted me just now.
Just don't ever talk about
But
Twitch
that's what
again.
you got to do. Like, and that's my last thought, as it goes back to the engagement piece, right? You get, when you give people value, don't be afraid to give it all away. Give it all away. And, people will be drawn to that. They'll be like, this was helpful. And when you develop that trust with people, that's going to be the thing that's going to take you far in your online efforts, rather than you even said it as an example earlier, Devin, when you're like, God, some guy on Twitter is just trying to peddle his affiliate link. You know what I mean? Like, we can see right through that. It's 2022. We can see right through that. Be authentic, be yourself, do what you love, look at what you love doing, and see if there's a way to offer that to people in some way that can help make it work in your bank account. Yeah.
I'm clipping that last part and putting it on TikTok.
Do it. Repurpose it.
I'm literally gonna.
Well, I want you to in the editing, add some like lightning bolts for right when my camera went out, or like the camera shake or something like that. Like I'm in LA, so maybe it's like an earthquake. We could say that something like that happened.
Melanie will tell you I'm a wizard with editing, so people won't even see that. We'll just put in the description that the fire you were spitting out just free game, and your microphone and camera just exploded.
It's true.
I'm surprised mine didn't.
It did. Well, watch your back for the rest of the night.
Well, thank you, Nick, for so much for joining me. Guys, if you enjoy the stream, definitely watch the VOD. It's going to be on demand. We'll definitely have the cut version, the edit version on YouTube. You definitely going to check that out. The Vinci's. I'm on all social media accounts. Follow me. Make sure you follow Nick. Follow Ritual Motion, because we couldn't do this without them. And we'll be back next Wednesday at 8 o'clock. We have a life coach. So we taught you how to get more money. Now we're going to teach you how to get your dream job. So you definitely want to be out there. You want to be there for that. So definitely come for that. And is there anything else you want to add that I'm failing to ask you?
I think we're good. I'm scared. I'm scared to walk home after this.
I don't just, watch your back.
Yeah. I think the last thing I'd also say is Ritual Motion, what a cool platform. When they had reached out to me, like, this is such a cool platform. I've loved learning about it, and it's the platform is, the thing that can help you bring your content to the people who want to be connecting with you. It doesn't have to be the biggest platform. Facebook's got the most people. That doesn't mean people want to hang out with you on Facebook, right? And if you're giving value to people, then they're going to go find you on whatever platform you want to be on. You know what I mean? So find that platform that's going to be like a really great fit, like a Ritual Motion, and just put out that really quality content, and the people are going to find you. They're going to talk about you. They're going to start telling their friends about you, things like that. So find the platform that really works. Something like Ritual Motion is going to be a perfect fit if you want to create something like this, and go all in. Yeah.
Now I got to clip that. And put that somewhere so people can just keep dropping the fire, man. I wish I have like a mixer. And I can do sound effects. I wish I could do the air horn.
Oh,
I literally wish I could. I can do it, but you're not going to be able to.
I had that. I would use it. I would use it after every guest's response, regardless of it would turn into like a comedy hour. I would never be allowed to have something like that.
I tried once. It did not come up. It didn't come up on the VOD.
No. So, no.
So, Nick, I appreciate you, man. I'm going to follow you on everything, and we're definitely going to connect again. I know this isn't the first time we're going to connect. This is going to be a part 2. I know there's going to be a part 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, like Fox 26.
I'd love to be back. Yeah.
Sounds good.